event. I'm conscious of the time, so what I will say is thank you so much. It was unique and lovely to welcome 2 generations of amazing women who are related in the one call. It's something I will personally take away, and I know a lot of other colleagues will too. Congratulations, thank you so much. And now it's time to move to CIMMYT. Those colleagues who are joining us from CIMMYT for the first time today, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are joining us from. You're very welcome to this Marathon Spotlight event, which has been taking us on a 13-hour journey around the globe. We're running 5 minutes late, and this is our very final session, which is pretty amazing considering we've gone all the way around the world and we're only delayed by 5 minutes. Today, we're joining all those around the world who are celebrating the International Day of Women and Girls in Science. We're taking the opportunity to celebrate our own fantastic community of women scientists who are leading the way in a wide range of research and scientific innovation. We've heard over and over again today about the amazing work that's being done to break down barriers and find new ways to advance the transformation of food, land, and water systems in a climate crisis. For those whom I haven't had the pleasure of meeting before, my name is Fiona Farrell, and I lead CGIR's function that works to advance gender equity, diversity, and inclusion in our global workplaces, or GDI for short. We in the GDI function are also celebrating today. We're celebrating our first birthday. We were very recently launched just in late January 2020 with a very clear mission to work with leadership, management and staff across CGIR to ensure that our workplaces really are truly enabling and inclusive for the over 10,000 people. Our goal is to ensure that diversity in all its dimensions is embraced and that everyone in our workplace has the support they need to reach their full potential. For us, this work is not only doing the right thing. It's not only the right thing to do, it's the smart thing to do. Because we know that diversity can bring the different perspectives and the innovation we need to deliver on our critical mission. The work of the GDI function is guided, you may know, by our framework and action plan. If you'd like to learn more about the work that we do, our documents, our knowledge hub, our training, and the matrix that holds us accountable for delivering on our goals set, you can go and find out more on our GDI webpage, and you can see the details on the screen right now. Among the many initiatives we've had the honour of launching in 2022 was supporting the launch of a new employee-led resource group called WIRES, Women in Research and Science. And WIRES aims to bring together everyone in our global community that wants to support our incredible women scientists, providing them with a supportive and safe space to meet and to learn and to grow. So today, throughout the day, we have been recognizing the significant contributions of our women scientists by showcasing a sample of their exciting and innovative work. As we come to the very final session of our 13-hour journey, we remind you of a few housekeeping rules, and you can see them there on the screen. We invite you to submit your questions and your comments through the Q&A box. And please do reach out to Thomas if you do have any technical difficulties. We also invite you to consider joining WIRES using the contact details on the right-hand side of your screen. And for the very last time today, I will thank our previous speakers. Thank you so much to the amazing IFPRI team. And now it's my great pleasure to welcome the speakers for our final power hour of the day, which is being hosted by CIMMYT. Handing over to you now, Itria.
Hi there, I'm actually going to be hosting our session. Welcome to the session at the International Maize and Wheat Improvement Center, or CIMMYT, as we close out the WIRES Marathon event for the International Day of Women and Girls in Science. There have been so many inspiring women coming before us today in this event, and it's been really great to witness these real personal anecdotes from some really distinguished scientists. My name is Madeline Dom. I've been coordinating CIMMYT's celebration of the event this year, which focuses on what we're calling those light bulb moments when a student or young professional gets that first stroke of inspiration early in their career. It's that moment when it becomes quite clear what you want to study. And the young scientist with a passion for finding real-world solutions to global food security issues has no better launch pad for success than with the CGIAR. Today, we want to share the stories of a couple of CIMMYT scientists whose professional journeys are sure to help light the path for many more to come. First, we'd like to share a video from Allison Bentley, the director of CIMMYT's Global Wheat Program.
As a kid, I was always interested in the natural worlds and in how plants respond to their environment. I was really lucky to attend a high school with a mini farm on the site and a brilliant and inspiring agricultural teacher. As a high schooler, I attended an outreach event at Sydney University's Plant Breeding Institute. We got to try out extracting plant DNA, which was really the light bulb moment for me, connecting science from a textbook into something tangible that could be used to improve crops and enhance food security. I then continued on with my undergraduate and postgraduate degrees at the University of Sydney in Australia. My PhD supervisor, Professor Lester Burgess, played a key role in supporting me to develop and test new ideas, to embrace research challenges, and to focus on why it matters. Women play many different roles in farming systems around the world, be it doing cutting-edge research in plant breeding or as producers or processors of crops. It's well known that diverse perspectives bring huge benefits to innovation and to the optimal functioning of teams. For me, the greatest breakthroughs or synergies happen when everyone feels enabled to contribute and to own the outcomes of the work.
Wonderful. Thank you, Allison, for those great photos, and of course, the CIMMYT creative team for making that wonderful video. I'm now going to invite Kevin Pixley, CIMMYT's Deputy Director General for Research, to tell us a little about what CIMMYT is doing to make the workplace a more inviting space for women.
Great, thanks, Madeline. It's a real honor to be on this event. And talking about women in research and science, I thought I'd start by just mentioning a few women that have really inspired me in terms of a career in science. And that would have to begin with my high school chemistry teacher. But as soon as I moved to university, then it more or less coincided with the Nobel Prize in Physiology that was awarded to Barbara McClintock, of course, for transposable elements. And of course, that reminds me that just last year we had two women award recipients of the Nobel Prize in Chemistry, Jennifer Doudna and Emmanuelle Charpentier, for their work on gene editing, which is some work that I'm somehow involved in today. So quite inspiring women from historical times, but also at CIMMYT, we have many inspiring women colleagues. And certainly at CIMMYT, we know that diversity enriches every one of our teams and that women make us stronger. We have women colleagues in every discipline and every area at CIMMYT. This includes molecular geneticists, we have physiologists, we have nutrition, agronomy, socioeconomics, breeders, and many of the heads of our units, the heads of our legal units, the head of our communications, project management, and human resources are excellent women scientists and colleagues. And at the moment, the chair of our board of trustees is also a woman. In my current position as Deputy Director General for Research was formerly held by an amazing woman scientist, Marianne Banziger. And she actually contributed so much to science and to our mission, which is of poverty alleviation and nutrition security, that perhaps, and sometimes the scariest thing about this new job for me is sitting in her chair, and the expectations perhaps from some of my colleagues that I should be able to at least begin to fill her shoes. So what do we do? I was asked to speak about what we do at CIMMYT to recruit, to attract, to retain wonderful, amazing women for our science and for our science enabling positions in the institution. So some of the few things that we do is we provide nursery and childcare facilities, which allows either women scientists or their spouses to work at CIMMYT in a more flexible environment. We have policies on flexible work hours and flexible workplace, which enable women and men scientists and colleagues to avail these opportunities to fit their family needs, as mentioned by the previous speaker from IFPRI. In our recruitment policies, we actually include a policy that would say that the top-ranked long-listed candidate will be included in the short-listed candidates and will be considered for every position that we announce. And of course, every one of our search committees has participation from women and other diverse groups, including research disciplines in our program. And we also have a spouse recruitment policy, which makes it easier for dual career families to both work at CIMMYT and be able to remain satisfied in their employment with us. Something we're continuing to work on and we're improving is including and ensuring that women are at the leadership table within CIMMYT, as some of the examples that I mentioned a little bit earlier. The last thing that we're doing, or the last effort that we're making, is to recognize specifically the contributions of women to some of our scientific and other science enabling roles at CIMMYT. So every year we have an award to recognize women of excellence, women of teamwork, and women of integrity who have made CIMMYT stronger. And just in a few minutes, you'll be hearing from the two award recipients from last year, from 2020, Gabriel Asepha and Kate Dreher, who were given this recognition by their peers last year. They and many other women at CIMMYT inspire me and inspire their colleagues to continue striving for our mission at CIMMYT. So I'm sure you'll also be inspired by hearing from Rachel and Kate in the next few moments.
Thank you so much, Kevin. Now I'm going to invite those two wonderful women. Rahel is going to start off the session. She's going to tell us a bit about her journey in research and how they fit into the CGIAR Global Food Security Mission.
Okay, thank you. Can you hear me? I'm not sure if my connection is good.
Yes, we can hear.
Okay, perfect. So I will be making a presentation. I hope I don't bore anyone, but I have prepared a presentation so that it can guide me to telling the story of my journey. Can we start the presentation, Gabriel? Thank you. Okay, as Kevin introduced me, my name is Gabriel Asepha. I work in the Sustainable Intensification Program as a regional program manager. I'm based in Addis Ababa, Ethiopia. Can you go next? To give you a bit of background about myself, I grew up in Ethiopia, and I grew up at a time when the country was under military rule and opportunities and exposure to the outside world were limited. Access to information was not freely available as the media was tightly censored by the government. I was, however, very keenly aware that ours is a poor nation with millions of people experiencing food shortages. Those who grew up in the 80s like I did remembers the famine that ravaged the country at that time. Can you go next? I was fortunate to have been born into a family that could afford to send me to a good school and provide for all my needs. My parents also instilled in me and my siblings the importance of giving back to those who are less fortunate. My mother was a stay-at-home mom and my father was a veterinarian doctor. Education was very big in our family. Next. Can you go next? Okay, I'll just continue. So I think my journey in science started in my childhood home, although I was not aware of it then. I knew I did not like science classes such as physics and chemistry, and I also felt that science was more suitable for men and boys. Growing up, I was very curious and I liked solving problems, but I didn't know that these were traits that could one day lead to a STEM career. After high school, I traveled to Pennsylvania in the United States to pursue higher education. It was there that I discovered an array of subjects that appealed to me. I chose information technology and I excelled at it. After graduating, I moved to Washington, D.C. and I started working as a software engineer. Next. I enjoyed some aspects of my new job, like it has the aspect of problem solving, but I felt like it was lacking in other areas, such as working directly with people. I knew from early on in life that I was meant to work in an environment where I could have direct interaction and impact on people. I also wanted to work in a developing country, such as the one I grew up in, where my contribution would have a greater impact. This is in large part what led to my decision to go to graduate school and study management with a focus on project management, leading to my transition towards management and administration. Next. Although I found my new career more fulfilling, I felt like it was still lacking something. And during this period, I was traveling to Ethiopia frequently to visit with family, and I was feeling a pull to come back to the continent during every visit. This prompted me to start looking for opportunities, and when I saw a posting for a project management role in CIMMYT, I went for it. I knew that given my background in IT and healthcare of more than 15 years, the position would be a perfect fit. Next. Can you go next, please? Okay. After over 20 years in the United States, I was very happy to come back to my country of birth and to play a small part in helping make the continent become more food secure. You see, I never forgot the feeling I had of helplessness in the face of drought and famine the country experienced in the past and that many countries continue to experience today. Next. I started my journey at CIMMYT in 2016 with 2 projects under my portfolio. The first project was FACASI, Farm Mechanization and Conservation Agriculture for Sustainable Intensification. It was led by Frederic Baudefond, and the other one was Tamasa, Taking Maize Agronomy to Scale. It was led by Peter Crawford. FACASI was a 6-year project funded by ACIR. The aim of the project was to identify small-scale machines such as two-wheel tractors to improve farming practices such as planting, harvesting, milling, and transport, and the commercial mechanisms needed to deliver these to smallholder farmers in Ethiopia, Kenya, Tanzania, and Zimbabwe. Next. Tamasa was also a 6-year project funded by the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. The project was seeking to improve productivity and profitability for small-scale maize farmers in Ethiopia, Tanzania, and Nigeria. Next. I'm very happy that these were my first 2 projects in CIMMYT, as they helped me gain invaluable insight on not only the work of our amazing colleagues and partners, but also the benefits to those we seek to serve. I traveled to many fields in Eastern and Southern Africa, and I had a one-on-one interaction with youth groups, women, and men farmers. And although I was not directly working in science, my contribution to the project in terms of managing stakeholders, activities, budgets, and reporting helped ensure successful outcome and completion. I have since taken on many projects and recently started serving in the capacity of program manager. I know that when we think of science, project and program management do not seem relevant, but it's important to understand that any work we carry out in an organized manner requires management, as research without administration will not be as successful. Next. Program and project managers ensure there are clear, organized plans that improve team collaboration and increase efficiency. My role entails managing budgets and resources among projects, managing risks, issues, and changes, as well as ensuring the achievement of CIMMYT's strategic goals. I feel that at CIMMYT, I have the opportunity to do work I enjoy for a cause that aligns with my values. I hope more women consider careers that they will find fulfilling. In conclusion, I think it's important to ensure women have a voice in every field and have a seat at the table in decision making. For example, having more women in agriculture science increases women's contribution to food security and higher wages. Exposing young women and girls to STEM professions, telling our stories, participating in mentoring groups, and creating sparks of interest to pursue such fields is important. Thank you for listening. I hope I haven't bored you and that you have found it enjoyable. Back to you, Madeline, or maybe Kate.
Yeah, we're going to pass it straight to Kate now for her presentation. Might take a moment to pull up the slides.
Thank you. And while we're waiting, let me say greetings to everyone who is connected. It's wonderful to see so many people participating in this event. So while we're waiting for the slides to appear, I think I can also start by thanking Dr. Kevin Pixley and Madeline and Rahel also for the introduction and the inspiring talk, and to the organizers of this event for giving all of us the opportunity to celebrate and discuss the contributions of women to science and innovation within the CGIAR and beyond. But maybe I'll just pause for a moment to wait while Gabriele puts up the presentation. And maybe if there are any challenges, I can just go ahead, and the slides are just to add to the words. So my name is Kate Dreyer, and I work in the data management team at CIMMYT. Our team focuses on helping to curate, store, and provide access to germplasm information and other breeding related data. Our goal is to ensure that breeding teams in CIMMYT have the information that they need to make the best possible decisions and to continuously develop and deliver better varieties of maize and wheat for low-income farmers and consumers. Thank you, Gabriele. That's perfect. A key element of our job is to provide support for the implementation and use of breeding data management related tools. Therefore, I'm also glad that I get to participate in the project responsible for developing the enterprise breeding system that is managed by the Excellence in Breeding platform. This software system is designed to support routine activities in breeding pipelines as well as advanced analyses. However, our group's mandate does not stop with internal data management. In alignment with other CG centers and the big data platform, we recognize the value of CIMMYT's data to the broader scientific community. And so we also contribute to publishing phenotypic and genotypic data about diverse maize and wheat germplasm resources in public repositories. We hope that these data can be utilized for various beneficial analyses that were never imagined when someone first collected those individual data points. So now that you know a little bit more about my work, you may understand why I felt a bit nervous to be asked to speak in a seminar on women in science and innovation. Though I studied plant molecular biology in graduate school, you may have noticed that none of my current job activities involve taking measurements in a field, extracting DNA in a lab, running novel analyses, or carrying out any tasks that may seem directly scientific. But I and other members of our team fervently hope that our team's work does have a real-world impact as we try to make scientific data available to people who can capitalize on it in many different ways. While this behind-the-scenes data management work may not seem very exciting to some or most, I feel very motivated by the belief that our work does contribute to CG and SDG goals, such as reducing poverty, improving nutrition, and promoting environmental health and biodiversity, even if indirectly. I'm also thankful that this work has given me the chance to interact with, learn from, and be inspired by so many motivated and intelligent women and men from many countries who can share their valuable experiences from so many different perspectives. So in addition to describing a bit about what I do, I was also asked to describe what brought me to this career and to this position. So Gabriele, if you could go to the next slide, please. I must admit that despite my enthusiasm for this job, when I was asked in 4th grade what I would like to be when I grew up, breeding data management team member did not make it to the timeline that I had to draw for my future. But perhaps a combination of genetics and environment did set me up to head right in this direction. So of course, I need to mention and thank my parents. They've always been so supportive of me and my two brothers. They wanted us to enjoy learning and encouraged us to take school seriously so that an education could open doors for us. At the same time, they instilled a core belief that we should always try to contribute positively to the local and global communities. Plus, I think that their career choices had an influence on me too. My father was a high school teacher of chemistry, physics, and biology, and my mother was a reference librarian. So an appreciation for science and information management was already percolating in my head at a young age. While my interest in science and information management may have initiated inside my childhood home, I benefited from many positive external reinforcements of those interests over the years. For example, my wonderful freshman high school biology teacher, Mr. Esner, made me fascinated by the processes that are going on all the time at the micro and macroscopic level in our biological world. And my supportive undergraduate thesis advisor, Dr. Marta Laskowski, helped me to experience the excitement of reading about an emerging technique and then trying to employ it to answer a fundamental question about plant development. However, my experiences in college also added another topic of interest to my list, agricultural development, thanks in large part to two wonderful economics professors. Professor Gallen and Professor Doss introduced me to compelling topics in economics in the classroom, and they also helped introduce me to CIMMYT. Thanks to their research collaborations, they helped me to get internships at CIMMYT headquarters in Mexico during a summer in college and for a whole year after college. In both cases, I was lucky to work with great supervisors, Dr. Erica Mung and then Dr. Michael Morris. And in both cases, I was also lucky to be strongly supported by a diverse and welcoming community inside and outside of work. For example, during my year-long internship, my project compelled me to spend lots of time trying to understand different processes related to breeding and work in the molecular and grain quality labs. And that involved asking many questions to people at various different levels within the organization. I'm grateful to say that I was routinely treated with patience and kindness. People took the time to respond and to help me to learn about their work, even though I was just a young intern carrying out a special project. Plus, the culture of concern and assistance extended beyond working hours, as many in the community helped me and other visitors and newcomers to feel welcome and socially connected. This supportive culture certainly encouraged me to persevere through my internship, even when I was feeling a little stressed. So did the sense of pride I felt in working in a place that was trying to help improve food security around the world. My positive experiences helped to solidify my desire to seek a career in science. So after my internship ended, I enrolled in UC Davis for graduate school, in part because of their many applied plant research programs. But, and we can maybe go back, but a rotation with my great grad school PI, Dr. Judy Callis, reminded me of the excitement of trying to unravel the mechanisms underlying a basic biological process. So I ended up studying molecular biology. I loved the science in graduate school, but I found that I enjoyed the ideas and the seminars more than I relished the experimental troubleshooting. So as I neared graduation, I started looking for ways to try to be of service in science outside of the lab, and biocuration popped up as a possibility. Biocurators work to curate and share biological data. I was excited to realize that in that career, I could try to use my training to help connect other scientists to useful data to advance their research. Therefore, I worked for several years as a curator at public plant biological databases. Though I enjoyed my work and the support of great coworkers, I kept my eye open for an opportunity to get to work more directly on agricultural development again. So I was very excited when a job opportunity opened in the data management area at CIMMYT, and I was able to return. When I arrived back at El Baton many years after my first visit, I was grateful to re-enter a vibrant, diverse, and holistically supportive community. For the past 7 years, I've remained excited by the opportunity to work on a team that gets to interact with different programs and disciplines, and to collaborate with many institutions inside of and outside of the CG. Building upon the work done by our predecessors and many collaborators, we hope that the data and data management tools that we try to share can help breeders to select the most productive, stress-resistant, and nutritious varieties of maize and wheat as quickly and efficiently as possible. And we hope that these efforts can contribute to a network of peers that can share common tools and best practices to facilitate the activities of breeders working in many additional crops and institutions. And as I said at the beginning, we also hope that the data we help to preserve can stream into many other analyses that will help scientists and policymakers to make wise choices today to help benefit society in the present and the future. I am very grateful to everyone who went the extra mile to help support me in my journey to this position. And I thank everyone who makes my current work a very rewarding experience. So I think we can go to the next slide, please, now, Gabriel. In my last slide, you can see just a few representative photos of some of my closest teammates, collaborators on various projects, and many attendees at our Science Week in 2018. I hope that I can continue to learn from the example of my colleagues and partners as we all try to help support, empower, and inspire the next generation of women and men from diverse backgrounds to engage in science and innovation through various different jobs, including in project management, administration, communications, IT, data management, and other areas that can all contribute to making a positive impact on the lives of the people in our own communities and around the world. So with that, thank you for listening, and please let me pass this session back to Madeline to continue with a question and answer session with some of our CIMMYT colleagues. Thank you.
Thanks so much, Rahel and Kate, for sharing your stories. I am indeed now going to expand our panel to a Q&A with a few more scientists from the CIMMYT team. And before we start, I'm going to introduce the group. Sarah Hearn is a geneticist at CIMMYT, focusing on native genetic variation in crop improvement. Ham Gartaula is the theme leader for CIMMYT's gender and social inclusion research. Itria Iba is the head of the Wheat Chemistry and Quality Lab at CIMMYT. And Carolina St. Pierre is the coordinator for the International Network of Wheat Phenotyping Platforms. I'm going to start with a question for Sarah. What is your advice for young, aspiring female scientists?
Now that's a good question. Okay, I've come up with a few things. The first, and I think the most important really, is to identify what you really love in science, what inspires you and drives you. Many women end up doing what they're told they're good at, sacrificing really what they enjoy for this greater good. And it's time to claw that back, I think. Find what enthuses you in science, makes you excited to go to the field, to go to the lab, to go to the office, to do analyses, to make fabulous data management systems like Kate does. There are dull jobs that we have to do. Everybody has to do them. But a big chunk of your day, a big chunk of your week should be spent doing things that really drive you, that you're really passionate about. I've seen too many great women throw in the towel after doing boring job after boring job and leave science altogether, and that's a loss from the system. So find your passion, try and follow that. Another one is to build confidence in your abilities, confidence that you have something positive to contribute, that you can find solutions, that you can work with others to find solutions. Not to be overconfident, which can make you blind, but to develop a healthy respect for your own ideas and those of others. The oldest, most experienced person in the room doesn't have a monopoly on ideas or insight. Yeah, make sure you stand up, sit up, that your voice is heard. Embrace wasting time. Now, by this, I don't necessarily mean vegging with a tub of Haagen-Dazs on the sofa, although I'd rather like to be doing that now. But really appreciate avenues that you explore that won't always yield a useful result, whether that's in science or life in general, whether it's that relationship with the cool person you met at the bar that didn't quite work out, or the job that you were interviewed for but didn't get. Every disappointment or failure, if you want to call them that, is a learning experience. And if we truly embrace that, we can get much further. Fear of failure, fear of losing time, ultimately stifles creativity, ingenuity, innovation, and progress. Take time to think and reflect. In today's tweet-laden world where we're usually chatting about what we have for breakfast, we get lost in the frantic pace of things. Science is as much about reflection as it is being hands-on and in the minute. Make sure you have the time to step back and look at the bigger picture, whether it's in a particular scientific project or if it's in what point am I in my career and where do I want to go next. It's important to be able to make that space for yourself. And lastly, I think it's important to find mentors. And this is as applicable for men as it is for women, but I think more so for women, to find people who you respect and admire, and people who can be trusted critics. Not to find someone who will tell you you're fantastic all the time, but to find people who can be constructive, who can help you build upon your strengths and work with you to identify blind spots that you may have, areas that you might want to work on. Ask them questions. Indeed, ask lots of questions. As Kate said, ask as many questions as you can. There is no such thing as a daft question. I preface most things by saying I'm going to ask a stupid question now, but there isn't such a thing as a stupid question. The only daft thing is not asking that question in the first place. Thank you, Madeline.
Thank you so much, Sarah. And now to Hom. As a gender specialist, what have you seen from your research and work in the field that really does empower women?
Hello, thank you, Madeline, for this great opportunity, and yeah, to participate in this event of like the global conversation on women in science and technology. Yeah, for me, it is a true honor, and like and if I take the words from Norman Borlaug, our a former yeah, who established CIMMYT and the whole CGIR, many, yeah, all of us know that, and especially women who are involved in science and technology, you are the one true rebels with no guns and daggers, but with science and technology. So I really appreciate that. Now to the question that you asked me about what is important in the women's empowerment. When I think of the concept or this empowerment issue, what is empowerment in the real sense? Is it education? Is it money? Is it wealth that people have that makes people empowered, become more powerful? Is it freedom or confidence that in people's working or decision-making power? So what makes a person empowered? And that ponders me. It's quite complicated. I have seen in the field, like based on my conversation with the woman, especially in South Asia, where I have done most of my research work. Those women living on their own, with enjoying or applying all those empowerment indicators that we talk about, like access to resources, decision-making power, yeah, having capacity to influence the decision or taking in oneself favor, and these women are at the end, they don't feel a kind of worth of what it means for their life. They don't have like a good well-being in that sense. And I have also observed women who are relatively in the close, under the control of parental or the in-laws kind of control mechanism. Husbands are away, and they're still okay. They are still feeling good about their life. So talking about those things, I think what it needs to make women empowerment to bring forward is, one of the main thing I would like to point out is the equality of opportunity, or the creating enabling environment to participate. Like we heard from the scientists from IFRI, the mother-daughter conversation, and the environment that those young girls that was cultivated right from their household and to the school. And we also watched the video from our own director that the enabling environment that is built around somebody's life, somebody working, is very important for empowering women or for empowering anyone. And the opportunity to participate, that in that sense, like education is good at all times. When you are educated, there are lots of opportunities you can participate. Opportunity to participate in the employment, management, leadership, all those different dimensions in your life. You can do much more if you have that opportunity to participate. And when I talk about the opportunity to participate, I always get back to the farmers, the men and women farmers on the ground who are participating. Like women have, like in the agricultural labor force, there are almost more than 50% there are women, but they are participating, but they don't have like equal kind of stake into the management, into the decision making of the agricultural resources. And that has to do with their own empowerment, at the same time how as a city center what to think about our end users who are going to use the technologies, the innovations that we develop at the city center. So this participation, education, and more of the meaningful participation into certain activities is very important when we talk about women's empowerment. And another element I want to bring is the empowerment is relative and it's dynamic. It is not like one point in time you are now empowered. No, it is a process of empowerment. It is, and it has to be adaptive, and the person has to be agile with the changing situation, how the surrounding goes, because it is also relative. How much I am empowered, it depends on my surroundings, my colleagues, my other people around me. So that's why it is kind of dynamic, and that is another environment or enabling environment that we need to think about when we think of women empowerment. And the third element, and my last element I want to put is the mindset, especially the male mindset about women's empowerment. And that has to do a lot with all the disciplines, all the professions, but again, more prominent in the CG center. Just think about like farmers. What comes to our head is a male, probably with mustache and with the big farm equipments and all those things. And if we have that mindset in our research and development in CGIAR, city centers, then we tend to think of other half of the end users who are equally needed, our support, who are equally needed empowerment into this business. So it is about to summarize what I just said. It is about opportunity. It is about changing mindset, especially on the issue of environment, and thinking about more dynamic in the dynamic way. Okay, thank you, Madeline.
Thank you, Hom. On that note, Itria, how do you think we can change society's perspective on what to picture when we think of a scientist?
Hi, Madeleine. I hope you are hearing me well. And good afternoon, good evening, everybody. So thank you for your question. It's kind of a hard and complex question, I think. And I believe there are also different ways how we can approach this problem. However, I believe that a major thing that we could do in order to change the perspective that society, and even if we don't think that we have towards the women scientists, are to showcase more the work that women scientists across the world are doing. Unfortunately, if we look at the statistics, like we know, like women scientists are definitely underrepresented than men in science. And also oftentimes their studies, their research works are also less recognized and less highlighted compared to the work done by their men colleagues. And actually, looking at different research that has been done, looking at different research that has been done, we know that when a women scientist, enter in their job position, they often have to do like double work in order to be recognized as much as the men colleagues are. And also, oftentimes, women are taught to lack the skills that are necessary in order to be scientific leaders. This difference in the perception of men and women scientists that often happens, not always, and I know we are improving the situation. However, sometimes could have like some real problems in the careers of a woman in science. And for example, we know that sometimes women are less likely to be promoted by a scientific committee, or oftentimes women have a lower probability of success in grant fundings. And so these are two very important things that are fundamental for the career of a woman in science. And this difference in the perception does not only happen, of course, within the scientific environment. As Holmes said, is like something that happens in the society. And in fact, if we think about it, for example, the STEM professionals that are typically invited in media, most of them are men. And also, if we look at, for example, the movies or our favorite TV series or TV shows, also in those cases, most of the actors that interpret STEM scientists are men. So there are all these little things that happens in the society and within the scientific community, together with, of course, our cultural situation, together also with the level of education and also with the role models that are representing us, that all contribute to increase the gender gap that there is between women and men in science. And it is for this reason that I strongly believe that, as also the speakers in the previous presentation were talking about, that we need to take actions, both in the scientific and non-scientific community. And we have to do little things, and little things that actually could really improve the situation that we currently can see in science and also outside science. And especially as we are doing, for example, today with this marathon event, I believe, which is fantastic, is to improve even more the representation of women in science. But above all, and I'm a strong believer of that, to recognize the work for the quality of the work and not for the gender of the scientists who did the work. And as a scientist, I consider myself a scientist, science is something, I believe is an objective and systematic study of what we observe. And I believe that there is nothing objective and nothing systematic in the discrimination of scientists because of the gender or because of other stereotypes. So if we're going towards this direction, probably in 10 years, 20 years, we won't even need, some events like this, and we will just need a day of research and science in general. And I really hope that we will reach this goal in the future. Thank you, Madeleine.
Thank you so much, Itria. That's a wonderful answer. Our last question is for Carolina. What do you see as the current difficulties that women are facing at work? And in your opinion, what can be done to improve upon that?
Yeah, thanks, Madeline, and thanks for the opportunity to comment on these issues. In the latest years, several difficulties that women are facing have been visualizing, including the lack of equal pay and career opportunities, work-life imbalance, discrimination and harassment, maternity and childcare, and the lack of flexible work arrangements. Several needs for change have already been identified, and some actions are being implemented at different institutional levels. However, I believe that the biggest challenge now is defining how to move from intentions to actions, how to create the adequate spaces where we could be instrument of this change. In other words, we need to determine how to be active participants for the change and favor the implementation of the proposed actions and solutions. I have personally faced bureaucracy and administrative barriers, and even financial constraints and limitations, as in several locations there were no budget allocated for implement particular actions. Examples vary from the lack of support to adequate toilet facilities to women needs, to more complex issues as improving childcare facilities or increasing childcare vacancies. And yes, at some point, you maybe feel like tempted to stop trying. And it may be because you feel that you are not reaching your goals fast enough, or even because you think that you have done good enough. But there is always that second wind that exists in all of us, that extra energy that appears when we feel that there is nothing left. And people running marathons knows that the only way to tap this reserve is by deciding to keep moving. And I encourage you all to take this step further, to transform the words and intentions into real actions. And please never give up and try it one more time. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Carolina. And thank you to all of our panelists, presenters, Kevin, Allison, Gabrielle, everyone watching. As we conclude our session today, we want to acknowledge not just the female leaders on the science front right now, but also all the scientists who came before. For those who left a light on for us, they can be assured that we will light the path for others. Thank you, and I'm going to hand the mic back to Fiona at CGIAR to close the event.
Thank you so much. Thanks to, and I have to make sure I get all the names in, and apologies if I miss someone, Kate, Rahel, Madeline, Kevin, Sarah, Carolina, Hom, Gabriel, Eduardo, Aparna, and Itria, and all the other people at CIMMYT who have come together to make this a really enjoyable and enlightening session. Again, it's really interesting that, listening to all the colleagues today, a lot of what they have said is also resonates within the session today, where, again, the topics of mentorship, the need for supportive leaders, and how active sponsorship and guidance really play a valuable role in paving the way, not only for entry as people decide whether or not science is the career for them, but during the hard times, having somebody to help you focus and build your confidence and give you the direction you need. It makes a huge difference in whether or not somebody stays in the profession and really gets to follow their passion. And also coming up very clearly throughout all of the hours today is the need to have truly supportive institutional arrangements. There's no such thing as a woman or a man. We are all so intersectional. We all have so many different needs, and having the systems and the tools to help us and recognize our individual difference is very clear. I've said it many times today, and I really feel I need to say it once more. I wish we had more time. There's so many interesting people online. I would really like to have continued the conversation, and I know that we have colleagues online who probably feel the same way as me now. But once again, I will say, don't worry. We hope that today's session is only the start of the dialogue, and that hopefully all the colleagues we've had online today is the start of a network where they can reach out to each other after the session and continue the discussions. And so it falls to me to have the amazing job of wrapping up and closing this brilliant event. It's really hard to believe it, but we've reached the end. We've reached the end of our 13 hours, our marathon. Our journey today has really been a truly exciting and inspiring one. And thanks to everybody online for joining us along the way. We've ranged from sessions where we've had 70 people to over 200 people online, with people going in and out all day. So we're going to count them all up at the end of the day and work out exactly how many people were online with us throughout the time. We've heard from a wide range of colleagues, very diverse in many ways. We've seen diversity in discipline, in background, in age, in origin, in nationality. Some colleagues were at the very start of their research and science careers. So we started off this morning hearing from interns and emerging and very early career scientists. And we've also heard from colleagues who are mid-career and those who are leading regional and very complex global programs. We've heard from award-winning leaders in their field, and we've also been fortunate enough to be joined by colleagues in leadership positions, including DGs and DDGs for research and many others who've shared their support for our amazing women scientists throughout the day, as well as their vision and their support for work to continue to advance gender equity, diversity and inclusion in our workplaces. Those of you who were with us in the previous session will know some colleagues even brought their daughters along, which was absolutely marvelous to see. We had 2 generations of amazing women online at once, related to one another, all on the same call, talking about women in science. So congratulations to everyone for providing us with an amazing whistle-stop tour around incredible research and science that women in CGI are involved in. It's been an honor for us to be able to learn from you all today. And it was very powerful, certainly for me to be able to hear the real passion in the voice of the speakers and to learn how their work is literally making a difference and changing lives on a daily basis. It was really exciting for me during the day to hear a colleague say that some of the presentations they heard today has sparked questions in their mind and new ideas, and perhaps even the opportunity to see how new collaborations can develop as a result of what they've heard today. It was also great to hear the suggestions on how we can better support women scientists to grow and advance. You know, we had heard a common theme around the value of mentoring, the important role of supervisors, and the real need for quality support in early career, as well as sustaining women scientists throughout their professional lives. Colleagues shared some of the challenges they faced, and they made really great suggestions, you know, about how we can support. So for me, the discussions were truly inspiring. It was a joyous event. We hope you enjoyed it. We look forward to similar events in the future where we can consciously continue to build our global community. I'd like to thank all the WIRES colleagues around the world who've made today such a very special event. In particular, I'd like to thank 3 brilliant women, Katia Krivenos, Itrieba, and Emily Uma, who have played a significant role in making today happen. I'd also like to thank all our digital support and communication colleagues around the world who've been incredibly generous with their time and supportive, especially Thomas, Chris, Edward, and Roseanne. And we will work with them to gather all the great sessions we have today, package them up, and make sure they're available for you to widely share. On that note, I wish you a great rest of your day. We look forward to seeing you all soon. Thank you and goodbye.